Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Hey guys, back here at the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute answering your questions. Going through some YouTube questions right now and trying to get a few of those ahead. Build up the ammunition, quote unquote, as it were, before New Year's gets here. As I have a little bit of downtime this evening after tapping maple trees and also walnut trees this year. So we've been tapping maple trees for a few years now and making 3 to 4 gallons of maple syrup a year. Last year, my good buddy Thad Hollows, he also tapped some walnut trees and made some walnut syrup, and we were so impressed by that, we're going to do it this year. Yeah, it is a little early for southern Indiana to be tapping trees, but we've had such weird weather this early winter so far. It's been such a warm spell. Ordinarily, I wouldn't think about tapping trees until about the second week of January, but this year, I mean, when I tapped today, they were running, and they were running hard. So, you know, the season was warm enough last year that it was over by the third week of February, and that's pretty abnormal. Normally, you can go to the second, third week of March in Indiana. So we missed out on a lot of potential syrup. And so this year, I told myself, if we're going to do this, let's watch the weather. If the opportunity arrives at the very end of December, very beginning of January, to get our collection out there a little bit earlier, it's just what we're going to have to do. We're dealing with I'm not going to use climate change. I'm not going to go down that path and get into politics. We're dealing with dynamic weather, as dynamic weather is, and cycles change over time, regardless of what is happening or is not happening with climate change. So we got everything out. Well, not everything. We got a good portion of our equipment cleaned up today and got a number of trees actually drilled and ready to go. Walnut and maple both. As you can tell, I still have a little bit of that cough. I do apologize for that. But we're excited about a new season of maple syrup production and walnut syrup production. And hoping that this year, I set these asinine goals. We don't really sell maple syrup or anything like that. We give pints of it away to friends and family and stuff like that. This year, my goal is 5 gallons of maple syrup, and I'd be happy with a gallon of walnut syrup. I'm probably the only person in the house that's going to eat that on any regular basis, so why not, right? That being said, reach out to me. If you got questions, bishopshomegrown@gmail.com, YouTube comments below, or any of my social media, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. Also, my books will be back up on thealchemistcabinet.com in the next couple weeks. We just took a little hiatus from that during the holiday period because everything is so chaotic. Get a drink of some Sazerac rye whiskey, and we'll get to the question. All right. I do have to lean in and read this because, again, out of printer ink, so I apologize for the weird view of the side of my head. So this is from George, who says, I recently bought some of the superfood nutrients from BSG and used it in a rum wash. There was a metallic taste after distillation. I was wondering if this is possibly coming from the nutrient or possibly from a copper condenser that maybe needs cleaning. Thanks. Well, that's a good question. So, as you guys know, I have recommended superfood in the past as opposed to super firm. Superfood has far less of the various different micronutrients in it that tend to cause off flavors. Specifically, diammonium phosphate is what I'm thinking of. So DAP tends to come over in distillation as a very mineral sort of flavor that I do not like at all, and I don't want anywhere near my whiskey, my spirits, my brandy, etc. in any way, shape, or form. Typically, superfood, I don't have that problem with. I'm not going to say that you couldn't have it, but I don't typically have it. Now, I also don't use superfood at the recommended rates that are on the packaging. I tend to use superfood more at maybe a 50% rate of what is typically recommended. I never do use superfood anymore in any of my all grain mashes because I've not found it necessarily in any way, shape, or form. There's more than enough nitrogen already there in the grain to make that happen. As you said, you're doing a rum wash here. I do use superfood sometimes if I'm doing a sugar base, like the Panela rum, or I've even used superfood for, you know, the agave spirits that we were working on this past year, etc. But again, at about a 50% rate in general. It is possible that you could be getting some of that DAP flavor coming across, especially if you were using at the manufacturer's recommended rates. Unfortunately, I don't know of a lot of other great nutrients out there that do not have DAP in them. That's just a very common thing in the industry. I will tell you that there are some great yeast strains out there that do identify, that's a funny word, right, as turbo yeast, but they're not, they are, but they aren't turbo yeast. So Firm Fast, if you guys aren't familiar with them, from LD Carlson, they've got a line of whiskey, brandy, rum, etc., that have, you know, nutrients in them, probably EC1118 yeast, just like most of the turbos are, but they have nutrients in them to feed that yeast and get it going faster, make it move faster. I've done fermentations in 3 days with those, with 1075 agave syrup based stuff, right? But the beautiful thing about those nutrients is they're all amino acid based, so there's no DAP, no minerals or anything like that to come across during the distillation. Again, I suspect it's possible that you do have a little DAP contamination coming across there, buddy. The other thing you might have is, depending on what your molasses source is, you know, they typically will find a way to, what's the word? I can't even think of the word. Basically, you're looking for a way to clean that molasses. So you heat it up and then you let everything drop out of suspension, because there's a lot of ash and stuff like that in the actual molasses from where they burn the cane fields off every year. So you want to sort of pre-clean that molasses before you ever start fermentation. But if this is from a source that you've ordinarily used and never had a problem with, I would look towards that nutrient and look towards the percentage that you're using. But then I would also, it would probably be worthwhile to look at that condenser. Now, I would say, if it's the condenser is the problem, I would tend to have thought that you'd have seen some copper sulfate or copper salts come across in the distillation. You might have some floaties in there that were green colored. The easy way to check that, if you can't see them because they're suspended within that liquid, is to take a jar of rum, put it in your freezer, let it set for a couple hours, come back to it and see, you'll see the long chain fatty acids fall out of suspension. They'll make globules. Honestly, this is gross. It looks like snot. If you see any blue or green in there, then you know you have some copper contamination. That is a possibility. But I think you're on the right track with thinking that potentially and most likely it is that nutrient that you have going on there. So let's see if I can't find another question here and do another one for this video, since we're kind of on a marathon here. So give me just 1 second. All right, so another group of spot-on answers. Planning on an upgrade to a 4-inch column in the future. What max height would you recommend on a 26-gallon pot? Well, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, truthfully, on my 25-gallon pot, my sub pot, if I want to hit 190 with reflux, right, which not necessarily what you're trying to do, but I'm presuming if you're asking the height of the column, you're asking about efficiency issues as far as proofing, right? Or as far as proof goes. So on mine, I tend to run, and I don't know what the measurements are, but they are the 4-inch bubble plates, and they're the big 4-inch spools with the 3-ways, with the big 2-inch glass on the front. So, you know, one of them is, that doesn't tell you anything, doesn't matter. Anyways, 4 of those 4-inch by, they're probably 4 or 5 inches tall, something like that, stacked on top of each other is what I run. And I don't even have to do that to get to 190. It just makes it much more efficient as far as the reflux goes, the area, etc. Also, because I tend to use those sight glasses or those 4-inch column pieces as much for gin baskets as I do for anything. So you stack 4 of those bad boys on top of each other, put a screen in the bottom of it, you've got just a crazy amount of capacity for gin basket. So that would be my recommendation there. I apologize over here burping in your face and all that stuff. Anyways, so I don't have a measurement on that. I probably should have measured that before I read your question, but since we're doing this on the fly, I didn't get a chance to. But you can imagine what that looks like. It's not real tall, but it's tall enough to do some serious damage as far as getting your proof up there goes, especially with 4-inch bubble plates on it that you can load up pretty easily. I tend to run either, the Mr. Fusion pot still head that Wayne from Ozark Stillworks built me, or sometimes I'll run the Shocker deflator. I do have some traditional deflamators I will run every once in a while as well, but I also don't make a whole lot of 190 or real high proof stuff. I do go to 170, 180 quite consistently, and I do that with, actually most of the time I do that just with reflux and maybe a plate if I want it. So, all right, guys, as always, reach out to me, send me your questions. Love y'all, and I'll catch you soon.